This topic is going to be about the chordate phyla. Let's start by creating a small, very not detailed tree of life. Let's start with this is the deuterostomes, which is a superphyla to the chordates. The chordates would be the general phyla to the deuterostomes, containing all the deuterostome characteristics, of course. Chordates are defined by four main characteristics. Over here, the notochord, the dorsal hollow nerve cord, the pharyngeal slits or clefts, and the postanal tail down here. Now, the notochord is a flexible rod located between the digestive system down here and the nerve cord, which is above it. It's usually always above it. It acts as a support structure for the organism, allowing it to swim throughout the water and mainly support its shape. Now, the dorsal hollow nerve cord is made out of ectoderm. It's formed during embryonic development, of course. That's not very useful information, however. Let's see. It usually functions as the central nerve system, or forms it, helps assist in its formation. So whenever you think of dorsal hollow nerve cord, think about central nervous system, the brain, the thing that controls the organism. The notochord would be a physical fortifying support structure that would exist below the dorsal hollow nerve cord. Now, the pharyngeal slits or clefts they can function as gills if they were slits, or if they were clefts, they could in tetrapods, as an example, they would function in the development of parts of the ear, head, or neck. Generally, the anterior head of the organism. That doesn't make any sense. The anterior portion of the organism is what the pharyngeal slits, or in this case, the clefts, could help form. And of course, we have the postanal tail, which, well, you can use your imagination, as very basic functions that most generally tails would have. Now, within the chordates, we have two other subphyla, the Amphioxus, and the Urochordata. Now, the Amphioxus is the most basal group of organisms in comparison to the Urochordata. They also go by the name of lanceolates. They have a very basic structure. This is actually an Amphioxus right here. It's a very good example of a chordate and contains all of the characteristics, and they're quite visible. That's why they're a model organism. The Urochordata, on the other case, they lose their chordate characteristics when they mature. They only contain them when they're in the embryonic or their juvenile stage. When they mature, when the Urochordata, which also go by the name of tunicates, when these organisms mature, they become sessile polyp-like organisms, shaped organisms. They, as opposed to their embryonic stage or their juvenile stage, at which they would be motile organisms moving about through the water with their chordate, their notochord and such. Now, there exists an important clade within the chordates called the craniates. Craniates are, simply put, chordates with skulls. That's quite literally what the term means. Craniates with skulls. Sorry for my bad writing. Let's see. The only particular thing about craniates is they contain a neural crest, which is basically a collection of cells during embryonic development that form around the dorsal region of the notochord, or the dorsal hollow nerve cord in this case, and would disperse throughout the body, forming other parts of the body. Generally speaking, it's quite general information, but still, that's nonetheless useful. Now, within the craniates, there exist the vertebrates, which are just craniates with backbones. So, backbone. And within the vertebrates contains the gnathostomes. Gnathostomes are vertebrates with jaws. That's what the gnatho would be referring to. So, jaws. So overall, we have the Amphioxus. These are the most basal group of organisms of the chordates. They contain contain a model display illustration of the chordate characteristics. And very good organisms to use. Also goes by the name of lanceolates. Now, tunicates they only contain the chordate characteristics when they're in their embryonic or juvenile stages of their life. They lose them when they reach their adult or maturation stage. Then we have the craniates, which are chordates, such as this, but with a mineralized or cartilage-bound skull. They would normally contain prominent eyes and appear something like a lamprey. A lamprey would be the most basal group of vertebrate organisms. The lampreys generally look like this. They would contain a mineralized skull, some teeth, and prominent eyes. They would act as predators and such, of course. So vertebrates are craniates, but with a backbone. Their notochord is significantly diminished as a result of the vertebrate taking on the roles of the notochord. Then we have the gnathostomes, which actually are a better example of a lamprey, because the lampreys would contain jaws, I would imagine. And that's generally all the information.